The 2024 NFL season has officially started, and I have a Seattle Seahawks record prediction for you. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are here to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. All right, and I'm going to give you my prediction for the season for the record. All right, and you're going to like it because I'm predicting the Seahawks will go undefeated in 2024. No, that's not reality. I'm not actually predicting that they're going to go undefeated. That would be a dream. That would be a fantasy. You know, I would love for the Seahawks to be the next team to go undefeated a second time in history. And that's what is so great about this time of year. The season has just begun. Your team hasn't actually played a game yet, but you still have all this hope. You have it in your heart that your team could be the next team that goes undefeated and wins a Super Bowl. Right? That's fandom, and that's how I am. I know that's not reality, so I'll try to give what would be a more realistic view of how this season is going to play out. But just as a fan, you should know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, let's go undefeated. And hopefully, as a fan, you're thinking that too. Of course, reality will hit you, but there's no reason to not think of the unimaginable at this time of year. All right. Let's see. Before we actually look at our prediction, though, we do have a unofficial depth chart that has been released by the Seahawks. So let's take a look at that first, and then I can kind of give you a better detailed reason of why I think we'll get the record that I think we'll end up when we get there. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so now this is not an official depth chart. Again, all off season long, there was just no names on the depth chart. But now they have officially updated the depth chart on the website, so we have an idea of how they're thinking. This might not be what actually happens on game one, but let's take a look. All right. Should be no surprise. Geno Smith listed as quarterback 1. We got Kenneth Walker III listed as running back 1. Zach Charbonnet behind him. Kenny McIntosh, the third running back. Right? Wide receiver 1, DK Metcalf. Then Tyler Lockett. Then Jackson Smith-Njigba. Then Jake Bobo. Then Derek Young. And then Laviska Shenault. Right? So a great wide receiver group across the board. I think this is really strong 4 deep, and then we'll see how 5 and 6 are able to sprinkle in here and there and have an effect on the game. In both of them being able to have an effect on special teams should be exciting. Now here's where there's still questions, right? Well, I guess tight end. We'll go tight end first. Tight end, not much of a question. Noah Fant, obviously the starter. Farrell Brown, and then Brady Russell, and then AJ Barner. Now Pharaoh Brown, he's dealing with injury, so doesn't sound like he's going to be playing in game 1. AJ Barner being drafted, being down there on listed as the 4th, I do find that surprising. Brady Russell played so well, and AJ Barner was somebody, as you guys know, through a lot of the mock drafts that I did, was somebody I would often mock for the Seahawks. So I quite like him. So to me, it's a little bit surprising. It's Sony's rookie year, but it was surprising that he didn't get himself, at least solidly in the 3rd spot during his rookie year. But I don't see any reason why he can't, work his way up and get farther up on the depth chart in the years to come. All right, let's look at offensive line now, because this is where the big questions lie, right? Can this group improve? Can this group gel together and become what we hope it can be, which is at least league average, and help us realize this offensive potential with our new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, right? Let's start over at left tackle. Charles Cross listed as a starter, and then Stone Forsythe behind him. Charles Cross, I think this could be a breakout kind of year for Charles Cross at the left tackle position. This could be the year where he really steps up and shows that he can be one of the top left tackles in the game. I'm not going to say he'll make himself the top, but somewhere in that top 5 to 10 range, people will go, oh, that Charles Cross over there in Seattle, he's really good. I could see that sort of season coming for Charles Cross. At left guard, Laken Tomlinson, and then Satawa Lomea. Sounds like Laken Tomlinson is somebody that this locker room and these coaches are leaning on as a leader in the locker room, and going to be on the field as well. We'll see how he performs on game day, if he's going to be able to hold up. But it sounds like he has an important voice in that locker room, and if you have somebody like that on your offensive line, if he just does what his job is supposed to be, and again, just plays average, that will be an improvement. And if he's able to communicate up and down the line, that could again make the lineman next to him stronger and better as well. Then at center, they list as a starter Connor Williams, and then Oluwatimi, and then Jalen Sandell. Now this, I cannot wait to see, right? Because here we were thinking Oluwatimi was going to be the starter. Then they go out and get Connor Williams. Now he is coming off an ACL injury, so how is he going to be? I mean, he is one of the best centers in the game when healthy, and you're very lucky to pick him up on a cheap deal when you did just a couple weeks ago. But we have not seen him play or practice with the Seahawks because he just signed so recently. Mike McDonald recently said in the press conference that he is going to play for us, which is obvious, but he was kind of making a joke there, being tongue-in-cheek, not saying whether or not he is going to be ready for week 1 or not. But We're crossing our fingers and hoping he is. Obviously, to list him as the starter on the depth chart that you're releasing to the public, then they must be confident that he's going to be playing sooner rather than later, and hopefully very soon, as in game one. And again, they're not allowing press to record or be at some of these practices, so we really haven't seen anything. But hopefully behind closed doors, they are liking what they see. Now at right guard, Anthony Bradford listed as the starter, then Christian Haynes the rookie. This is one I'm really interested to see. I'm again, Anthony Bradford, you're getting in. I mean, if you look across the offensive line and what they have chosen here as the depth chart to be starters, it makes sense because you want the experience, you want the communication skills, and these are all veteran players. So you're getting Anthony Bradford there listed as the starter. I will be very interested to see how many reps they give Christian Haynes. How many series do they put Christian Haynes in to start getting him acclimated to the game? Because again, from what we did see Christian Haynes in practices, we did hear the reports from the press that got to go to practices and watch, but not record. But we at least got to hear accounts from them that Christian Haynes looked really good. When we seen him in preseason, he looked really good. So I think this is just a coaching staff maybe being cautious, giving it to the veteran and working their way slowly with Christian Haynes. So we'll see how this plays out at right guard. And at right tackle, we know Abe Lucas is on the injured reserve list for now, so he's got to miss at least the first 4 games. So, as a starter, they have listed George Fant, and then their 7th round pick out of a small school, Michael Jarrell, made the team and will be backing up George Fant. And again, I think right now, George Fant, he is the right choice while Abe Lucas is out. So, what can you do there? It just makes it look smarter that or the smart move that they made to bring George Fant back this offseason. He's going to be needed for depth, and again, I don't think Pete wasn't straightforward. Mike McDonald's not being straightforward. Schneider's not being straightforward. No, we don't really know what's going on with Abe Lucas in that knee, right? So, sometimes they're saying like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," and then other times they're like, "Well, we don't know when he's going to play or how he's going to play again," and then he's got to get procedures, and then they go, "Oh, he's recovering great," and then next thing you know, like, well, we don't want to say when he's going to play, we don't, because we're not sure, type of thing. So very iffy at the position, but I like the move that they made to have George Fant here. Again, it looks very smart in hindsight. So there is your starting offense, and with this starting offense and this depth chart, because there is depth here as well, I think this offense is going to be very good and has a lot of potential to help you win a lot of games. And again, we'll tell you how many in just a moment here. Before we do though, let's go ahead and take a look at the defensive depth chart. All right, we'll start at the top from what they have listed here. At defensive tackle, Leonard Williams, Mike Morris, and Miles Adams. Again, no big surprises here. Leonard Williams getting the deal. I think yes, he is going to continue to be a great defensive lineman for you here. And again, can't wait to see how he does with Mike McDonald calling plays and the style of play calls that he makes. Nose tackle Jonathan Hankins. He's your one big, massive, massive man that we have here. So he's your nose tackle. Defensive end Jaron Reed and Byron Murphy. Again, no surprise there. Jaron Reed, I've always loved the guy. Glad that he came back last year and want to continue to see him have the success. And Byron Murphy, again, they list him here as a defensive end, but again, and also Jaron Reed as defensive end. But yeah, I expect to see these defensive linemen moving around the defensive line a lot. Again, as we've heard the reports of how they've been practicing, like Leonard Williams talking about it. They had him playing at all 7 techniques on the line. And I'm sure they've been having the other guys who, especially somebody like Byron Murphy, I'm sure they've been having him do that as well. Now, rush. This is, they are labeling this position rush. Draymond Jones and Boye Mafe. Again, very interesting that, again, when you're looking at a depth chart here, they're saying, hey, we have Draymond Jones above Boye Mafe. But again, defensive line, it is such a big rotation. And again, that's why I talked about it when we were doing all our mock drafts, right? It's like all these people were coming at me about certain defensive linemen I would say that we should draft, and people would be like, oh, but what's their percentage of snaps? Well, what's the percentage of defensive linemen in general? What's the percentage of their snaps in the NFL? That's you got to keep up with the game. That's how things are. There's rotation, and there's going to be a lot of rotation with again, the depth that we have on this defensive line. Draymond Jones, Boye Mafe. Hopefully this is going to unlock what we've wanted to see Draymond Jones since we made the move to get him, right? And Boye Mafe, again, he's another one moving around that line, not knowing where he's rushing from, when he's rushing. I think that's going to help him get big numbers this year. All right, middle linebacker. We got Tyrell Dotson and Tyrese Knight. Will linebacker, we got Jerome Baker and Drake Thomas. And then at the Sam, we got Uchenna Nwosu, Derek Hall, Travis Gibson. The big one there that I think we got to mention, Uchenna Nwosu. Obviously, he's going to be the guy. We know he is going to miss the first couple of weeks, most likely with his injury. But again, we're just so thankful that they didn't have to put him on the IR, and he would be forced to miss 4 games. So we're feeling confident that he's not going to have to miss that many since they didn't put him on there. Derek Hall, from what we've seen of him this offseason, yeah, I think this could be a year where he breaks out now, and that's why you were able to get rid of. Now I'm trying to blank. You know who we just traded away, though. But anyway, that's why you were able to make that move, because the coaches are confident that Derek Hall is ready to make this next step and step up. Of course, the biggest questions here: Tyrell Dotson and Jerome Baker, because we've hardly seen them play. And again, these are your middle line, or these are your linebackers that, well, nobody wanted to pay big money to. You didn't pay big money to. You only gave them 1-year contracts, so how confident are you? Again, it has me worried. They did draft Tyrese Knight. So they have to at least have. To me, in my mind, they must have even more confidence that they could develop Tyrese Knight than they have confidence in having Tyrell Dotson and Jerome Baker for the long term. Otherwise, they would have gave them bigger contracts and more years. Best case scenario, Tyrell Dotson and Jerome Baker, they prove that you need to extend them. But I'm still very worried because we've barely seen it. But this is Mike McDonald's thing. The way that Pete was a defensive back guy, Mike McDonald, he's a linebacker guy. This is supposed to be the thing that he is most knowledgeable in, that he's a guru of. So maybe unlock something in all of these guys, and it is able to develop all these guys that they perform above expectations. And then at corner, we got Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen. You're starting two, and then behind them, Trey Brown, Nehemiah Pritchett, and D. Williams. What can you say? Devin Witherspoon, oh my gosh, he is just so ridiculously good. Can't wait to see his second year and how much more he can improve now that he's had a year under his belt and gotten used to the pace of play at the NFL level. And things will slow down for him, and maybe he can make even more big plays. Reek Woolen, down year last year, had the shoulder injury, came back, and he just looked like he did not want to tackle. Hopefully this coaching staff has worked that out with him, and he's confident, and he's not going to be such a liability in the run game where teams are just running to whatever side that he's lined up on against a receiver, because they know that he's just going to get blocked so easily and not going to make good attempts to tackle. Hopefully that has been fixed, and then I still feel great about Trey Brown. Nehemiah Pritchett, I think was very underrated in the draft, so good pickup there, good depth. Think he can develop and be a great piece for you. D. Williams, hey, good job making the team, and we'll see how much he gets on the field and has an effect, right? Strong safety Rayshawn Jenkins and Kayvon Wallace. Again, Rayshawn Jenkins, I haven't got to see him a lot either, right? But very excited because anything's got to be better than what we were getting out of the strong safety position last year. And Rayshawn Jenkins, I do think, is a very decent strong safety. So, it should be an improvement. Free safety, Julian Love and Kobe Bryant. Julian Love sounds like, he's going to be that player that Mike McDonald is really going to be able to utilize and move around the field. He's got that capability. He's got that athletic ability. So I can't wait to see him with Mike McDonald's play calling. Kobe Bryant, I've always been a fan. Always said that he would be at safety position, and they keep him around and keep him at and keep developing him at the safety position. And he's a guy that, because he's started out as a corner. He can come in and step in the corner for you if need be at a certain time. So just great guy to have on your depth chart. So this defense, again, we really don't know. This has been killing the Seahawks, especially the last couple of years in the run defense, right? Finishing 30th and 31st. To me, watching them with my eyes, it was surprising me that they weren't completely last. In my eyes, they were the worst. And again, it was one of those things. If the defense could be league average, then you're looking at a team that was, in the playoffs, were solidly, in the playoffs instead of, just barely making the playoffs because another team, helps you out, or just missing the playoffs because you didn't get help from another team. Those were the situations the last 2 years. And if the defense would have played better, it would have not been that way. So hopefully, this new coaching staff is able to, unlock some of the potential of these players and get them to play up to, the ability that they're expected to play at. All right. Again, I'm not expecting the Seahawks to all of a sudden go from worst to first, but I do see this team being able to be, league average. If I'm thinking the Seahawks offense, they have the potential there to be. I think they have the potential to be a top 5 offense. Where the defense, I don't see that. But again, if they can be somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, I'm going to be very happy. I'm going to be very excited. So we'll see if they're able to pull that off. Again, I like the potential there, especially with this coaching staff. But we'll see how it plays out, because that's going to be the tough thing. This is everybody's first time on this coaching staff, right? Special teams, kicker Jason Myers, punter Michael Dixon, punt returners D. Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, kick returners Laviska Shenault, D. Williams, Kenny McIntosh, long snapper Chris Stoll. Again, not any big surprises there. I will be excited to see Laviska Shenault, return some kicks, hopefully. We just watched the first game of the season, and it seems like in the beginning here, teams are willing to just kick the touchback and let teams take the ball on the 30, but we'll see how long that holds out. I sure would love to see Laviska Shenault get more opportunities to return kicks. But yeah, I'm not going to say much about it. I've always loved Michael Dixon, Jason Myers, very hit or miss year to year. So this team should perform well, I think, at this unit. Now, we've talked about the depth chart. Let's head on over to our predictions. Again, just so you know, I am predicting the Seahawks go undefeated in the 2024 season. But no, in reality, let's get to the reality. We talked about it, right? That offense, I think, is potential to be top 5 offense. The defense, as long as they're hitting average, if they're in that 15 range or anything above that, that is gonna be sweet. But a lot of question marks, right? And the biggest question marks we have, aside from the players, is this coaching staff. That's my biggest question. How is Mike McDonald going to do? I mean, everything I've seen from the guy so far in this offseason, and heard from him, about him from players and other staff members, I'm loving it. I mean, at this point, I am. I was bummed when Coach Pete got fired, but at this point right now, it's looking like that was the right move because to me, you don't want to hold on to something that is good when, in the short term, when you have the potential to go get something that could be great for the long term. And so, I really think Mike McDonald does have the potential to be great. And that this coaching staff has the potential to be great. But again, we're going to have to see, how does Mike McDonald handle these situations in game where he's not just a coordinator, but he's the one now handling, hey, when are we calling timeouts? How are we calling timeouts? Are we going to go for it? There's certain decisions that the coach is making, even though he's not going to be making the play calls for offense. He is going to be the one deciding, do we want to go for it here? Ryan Grubb, go ahead, call up a play, or is he gonna say no, we're not going for it? That's going to be his decision now, and we're going to see how good he is at making those decisions in live game scenarios. Again, handling timeouts, handling the referees, handling players' emotions during the game. We're going to find that all out, and then we're going to find out how his play calling works with this team. We know how it worked in Baltimore, but those players are those players. In the end, the X's and O's don't matter if the Jimmies and Joes don't execute, right? So we'll see if he's able to, call the right plays that will make it so that the Jimmies and Joes here can execute to that high level and put them in the best position. And then again, Ryan Grubb, first time being an offensive coordinator at the NFL level, calling plays at the NFL level, just being at the NFL level in general. Love his offense, love his play calling that we saw in Washington. Love what we're seeing in preseason so far, but that's going up against a bunch of scrubs throughout the offseason. Let's see how this goes in the regular season. The offensive line, very excited to see how that improves. Again, Scott Huff came with Ryan Grubb as an offensive line coach, and man, you know all the Washington Huskies offensive linemen got drafted, and that is because they were coached up in my eyes, right? You just look at how those players were rated coming into college and throughout college, how they were thought of because of that, and then how they actually perform on the field. You remember, both times the Huskies played against the Oregon Ducks last year, they were underdogs. The first game they were underdogs, they won. Even though they won the first matchup, the second time the Huskies went up against the Ducks, the Huskies were still listed as the underdogs. And what was the big reason everybody was saying this was the case? Well, it was that offensive line. People didn't think that offensive line had the talent, and that Oregon's defensive line had more, they were more talented, so they should be able to beat Huskies' offensive line and give them a hard time. Well, that was not the case at all. And you got to give it up to coaching. So can Scott Huff finally get this offensive line, up to, being one of the upper tier offensive lines, which is really going to help out Geno Smith, and that's really going to help out Walker and Charbonnet. That is what I'm gonna really be looking for this season as well. Look, Aden Dirty, you know, he's not making the calls, but he's still coordinator. He's still going to be a voice on that sideline. How does he do in that position? His first time being in this position. You know, it doesn't seem like it has that big of as big effect as the others, because Mike McDonald is going to be the one making the play calls. But I think still an important voice, because Mike McDonald is the head coach, so he can't just like stop what he's doing and, you know, just talk to the defense on the sideline anymore, because he's going to have to keep his head in the game, be talking to refs, talking to the offense, and talking to the offensive coordinator, talking about, okay, this is how the game is flowing right now, so, you know, can you keep it flowing this way, can you do that, you know, type of thing. So he's going to need Aden Dirty in those moments to be, you know, relaying his message of what he wants the defense to be looking at and wants the defense to be prepared for the next time that they are out on the field. So Aden Dirty is actually very important in the position he's in. Jay Harbaugh, special teams, first time again in his position. This very inexperienced coaching staff that we have. So, you know, we'll see. Can he make sure that Jason Myers, you know, can, you know, stay accurate all year long? And then, you know, what kind of plays does he come up with for these kick returns? How creative are they going to get with these this new kickoff that we have? You know, so those are all the big questions I have. But even with all those questions about the coaching staff, I just think there is talent on this team, a lot of talent. And again, like I said, it doesn't really matter about the X's and O's. When it comes down to it, it's the Jimmies and Joes, and I think we got a lot of good ones on this roster. It's, to me, it's no different than the last couple of years, right? So I'm going to pretty much have the same prediction that I had last year. This team should be a 10-win team, because just straight up because of the talent. And that's, to me, that's the baseline. I'm going to go out and say it again. 10 wins is the baseline, but I think this team has the potential, again, to win 12 games. The potential is there. And then, to me, the very bottom of this team should be 8 wins. And that's if there is a lot of struggles with the coaching staff and the communication that there is going to be needed on the defense for the way Mike McDonald calls these plays. It requires a lot of communication. Are these players on this team going to be able to handle it in year one, especially with so many injuries happening throughout the offseason and not everybody playing and practicing together at the same time? You know, that's where we could see some real struggles. But even with those struggles, I think this team is talented enough. They would still get 8 wins. And I saw the Vegas line is they have us at 7.5. You know, I'm taking the over, even in the worst case scenario for this team. I think they're just too talented. They're not going to be a 7-win, 6-win. I see, again, this is another year where I just don't understand. I see national media members, you know, predicting like a 5-win season for the Seattle Seahawks. I just do not see that happening with the talent that is on this team. You know, and again, with Mike McDonald, the communication skills, what I'm hearing about him being a teacher, which again was the best part everybody said about Pete Carroll, and that's why he's got a new teaching job at USC, right? Because he was a teacher. And what do you hear everybody talk about with Mike McDonald? These players, they're talking about Mike McDonald being a teacher and teaching them things. Right? That I love to hear that the continuation of a coach that is about teaching. And I think that's going to be very important in the way he calls plays and wants the players to play out there on the field. And to me, I think he's going to do a good enough job that everybody's going to be where they're supposed to be, understand where they're supposed to be, and then do what they're supposed to do. And that's going to get you to the 10 wins. Again, the 10 wins at least. That's what this team should be based on the talent on this team. We can go through it one by one. I really, I think it's kind of, it's kind of a silly exercise, but it's fun to do anyway. So let's do it. All right, and let's try to decide which of these ones are we winning. I'll tell you right now, this home opener, September 8th, we're winning that game. We're winning our home opener with a new coach in front of a home crowd, because we're going to be at home with a new coach that everybody is excited about, a new team that everybody is excited about. That crowd is going to be loud. Bo Nix, the rookie quarterback, he's not going to be able to hear. They got, other rookies on this team, receiver. They're not going to be able to handle it. We're going to win that game. Boom. Game 1, we got a win already. September 15th against the Patriots. Come on, that's a bad team. They're not even letting Drake May in the game yet because they don't want to get him shell-shocked to begin his career. Fine, we'll take that game. Now, here's where it gets a little tough. September 22nd, at home, though, against the Miami Dolphins. 2 young, innovative coaches, right? Again, teams with a lot of dynamic players. This one, though, I will give the edge to the Dolphins. Again, just looking at their team, I feel like they're obviously going to be one of these teams. Like I said, Seahawks have the potential to be a top 5 offense. I think the Miami Dolphins, they don't just have the potential; they will be a top 5 offense. And I think that defense could potentially be improved as well. So tough. But I think we get our first loss, and our first loss is going to be suffered at home. Then Monday Night Football on the road, September 30th against the Detroit Lions. Oh, and this is another tough one. I think this is where we get our next loss. So at that point, 2-2. Ben Johnson, another guy that had a head coach job opportunities, didn't take them, is sticking there in Detroit as coordinator. And I think this could be a tough matchup. Again, that's another team. Yeah, do I think they can be a top 5? They will be top 5 offense, and they are going to be hard to handle. The Lions, I have them as like one of my favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. So they're going to be tough to handle. Then October 6th, we go up against the New York Football Giants, and we cream them. We're back on track, 3-2. Take care of Daniel Jones, and really take care of just it'll be interesting to see Malik Neighbors, right, and see how good he's going to be at the NFL level and how good he's going to be against this defense. But other than that, I mean, what do they have? Nothing, right? I'm not. 3-2 at that point. Then October 10th, at home, Thursday night football, the San Francisco 49ers. Ooh, now I'm having a tough time, right? Because we are at home. These are tough matchups between Shanahan and McDonald, right? But again, because we're at home, because now they have this home field advantage. We have the 12s making the noise. We know all the struggles the 49ers are having because they can't get the job done. We see all the tribulations that they've had, players wanting to be traded, ultimately, signing a contract, and other players holding out, but then ultimately signing a contract here, days before the season opener. But things are starting to crumble a little bit over there in San Francisco. I think you are able to take a game away from them in this season at home, in prime time. So boom, there you go. There's win number 4. Then you go on the road October 20th to the Atlanta Falcons. They have Kirk Cousins, so that team should be improved a lot offensively. Too bad Penix is over there on the bench. I sure would love to see him get a job somewhere and be a starter in his rookie year. But again, it makes me question the decision making they got going on over there with the Falcons. So, and honestly, again, just looking at the rosters, I look at these rosters and I say the Seahawks roster is more talented. So boom, there we go. We're getting a win on the road. That's win number 5. All right, then October 27th. Here we go. At home against the Buffalo Bills. This one is a tough one for me this year, because I really do. The Bills are another team that I have a lot of questions about. And we get them at home. Can Josh Allen handle that pressure of the 12s? Their defense is good. They've lost offensive pieces. I want to do it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give the Seahawks that win. I am gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I give the Seahawks the win. So at that point, they're what? They'd be 6-2. Then November 3rd at home, going up against the LA Rams. Another great coaching battle here. Again, young great minds, McDonald and McVay. Here we go. And we're at home. We got the 12s. But I don't think it's going to be enough in this one. I think the Rams, they find a way to get it done. I know there's a lot of question about that team's roster as well, defensively, because Aaron Donald left. And you just don't replace Aaron Donald, right? You can't. He's quite possibly the best defensive lineman of all time. So you just don't replace him. But Matthew Stafford, this last season he found the fountain of youth, and he's got plenty of weapons around him now, especially with Puka last year, developing and showing that he's one of the top guys in this league. I think this is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough coaching battle. But I think their roster gets it done in the end. And then we head into the bye week. 6-3, but you're feeling pretty good, right? You feel good about being 6-3 with a new coach and this roster. So you get that bye week, and then coming out of the bye week, we're on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. This time I gotta say, we're at their place. I don't think you're going to sweep the 49ers. They're still uber talented. They get the job done, so you don't get that one. And then, here we go. We're going up against the Arizona Cardinals at home. And we'll beat them. We'll beat them at home. I think this roster is improved. Not improved enough to where they're going to beat us at home. So we get the job done. There's our 7th win. The New York Jets, December 1st. Aaron Rodgers is back. He's old. He's declining. He's coming off a major injury. That roster has been, overestimated for a few years now. Their coach, overrated for a few years now. We get the win. There you go. We got a win over the Jets, and that gets us to what, 8 wins. So again, there's your floor right there. Again, a minimum. I think this team wins a minimum at wins 8 games, and that's if things, don't go right with the coaching staff, and they have hiccups in their first year in the NFL. Okay, and then December 8th, we go to Arizona, and I will give Arizona the win because they have improved roster. So I'm not going to say that we sweep the Cardinals either, because I think they are going to be tough. So I will give the win to the Cardinals. And then here we go here. December 15th at home, Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. And this one, I say we get it done. I say we get a win here because I think our roster is a lot more talented. I know Jordan Love came on strong last year, and I'm a Jordan Love fan. But in general, I think our roster's better. When you look at the totality of the rosters, I think our roster's better. I think we will get the win. December 22nd, still at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Hey, they're the rookie quarterback injured, out for the season. You got Sam Darnold. Yeah, you're gonna still have a tough time with Justin Jefferson, but come on. Mike McDonald's gonna take care of Sam Darnold, right? No, that's no question. Boom. That's a win, and on my birthday, so I'm gonna have fun with that one. I will appreciate that. There is win number 10. There's 10 wins right there. That again, and that's what I think this team is, should get. Based on this roster, we should get 10 wins, just like I thought the last couple of seasons. I still think that about this roster. Well, 2 seasons ago I thought 9. Last season I thought 10. But I still think 10 again. Now you got the potential. You got the potential for 12. We still got 2 games left, and I've already given them 10 wins. Then we're heading over on December 26th on Thursday Night Football against the Chicago Bears. At this point, Caleb Williams will have, basically played a full season of his rookie year. He'll have, seen what it's like to play in the NFL. So at this point, you're not getting him deer in the headlight, week 1 like you are Bo Nix. You're getting the most talented rookie towards the end of the season where he maybe has figured some things out. But, again, looking at the rosters, I think we got the more talented roster. I say we get the win over the Chicago Bears. And here we are. I got them at 11 wins. And then we're on the road January 4th or 5th to be decided against the LA Rams. Ending the season, the regular season, I should say, because 11 wins already. That should get you into the playoffs. But ending this regular season with a loss. Yeah, I out of the teams in the division, I think I still just have great belief in McVay, and I think he's the guy that could get the job done to sweep your team in the 2-game series for the season. So there you go. That's my prediction there. Again, the baseline should be 10 wins. Potential up to 12, also potential down to 8. But if I do just run through this and look at the rosters and go game by game basis, I say we could win 11 games. Or 11 games are very easy for me to predict to win based on the schedule. All right, but yeah, there you go. That's my prediction right there. Let me know what your prediction is. I want to know, what do you think? Are the Seahawks can go undefeated this year? They are, right? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Okay. What do you think are going to be the biggest hiccups of this season? Is it coaching, or are we going to find out maybe this roster is not as talented as I think it is? But yeah, I'd love to know what's your prediction? What do you think are going to be the hiccups, or what do you think the potential things that are going to be way better than we thought? Like, do you think maybe all my worries about the linebacker position are just like totally over worrying? Like, are they going to be just fine, or be like a really good unit? Let me know if you think that as well. All right, that's going to be this episode, though. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with the sea of sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.